everybody, and welcome to Superliminal. Superliminal, a mind-bending puzzle game from 2019 with some nice avocado bed sheets there, or a comforter rather, duvet. And we find ourselves in, seems to be some kind of sleeping area with various suites here. And I have situated us at the start of the second chapter of Superliminal, just to avoid the tutorialization and so on, and get right into the interesting stuff. So, the storyline is we're going to be a little in the deep end, as it were, but there's a fun little story in this game. It's very heavily inspired by Portal, I must imagine. But that's not a bad thing. Portal has a very good story. So this is a bit strange, isn't it? Dream soda, random soda, baking soda, mini soda, water soda. So we will take a soda here and let's toss it in the trash. What do you say? Also some avocados on this wallpaper. Lots of avocados, it would seem. So now we find ourselves in a hotel hallway sort of environment with red carpeting, pink walls, and landscape paintings hanging on the walls. And this is where things will start to get a little weird. This hallway is actually quite small, and you will find that Superliminal is full of all sorts of perspective tricks and lots of little surprises of perspective, subversions of expectations, and so on. And the primary mechanic of the game as a puzzle game is, oh yeah, this is another fun one. The primary mechanic is that you can pick up objects, and depending on view of the surroundings will change the size of the object. So here we will have to start making use of that principle to escape this section. So I am a fan of puzzle games. I quite enjoy Portal, The Witness, things like that. Okay, here we go, so you can see what I'm talking about there. By holding the exit sign above us, it changed the perspective and made it very large. So let's do something similar here and see if we can build a bit of a ramp. There we go. And now we have found our way out of that area. A whiteboard here depicting various diagrams, some tables, doorways, various notes, all sorts of things here. I won't delve too much into the story of this game, but it has a charming, entertaining story, and I'll click on these little radios throughout the maps, which give you some context about what's going on. But if you are interested in this game, I do recommend checking it out yourself. So I won't spoil it too much. But here we get another one of those tricks of perspective. Stand in just the right place, and suddenly the cube manifests into reality. I will say, just for a bit of background, which is already established in the tutorial level, we are currently asleep. We are navigating a world of dreams and a world of dream logic. So that is the justification for why influenced by decisions that they make. But we also must navigate it ourselves, so let's see what we can do here. Looks like we need to get that pipe in just the right place. So we need to climb up here. And there we go. Yeah, I quite enjoy this game. I find it very fun to kind of constantly be surprised by the little tricks that they pull. And it's fun to navigate their puzzles. You'll see as we go along, they're constantly kind of subverting your expectations. So while the puzzles in my memory are not generally supremely difficult, they're very fun. It's more so the joy of the discovery in the process and taking the ride of the little tricks that the developers have put in, the little surprises and so on. So we have plucked the moon from the sky and find it to be covered in a variety of objects. So we will set the moon aside and find that this door can serve as a way for us to continue on. And we have been informed that elevators are our way out. Don't get lost. Follow the exit signs. Don't meet sister-in-law. Seize the day. Seize the day. Loading, 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 with a very long line of dots. And once this, we find ourselves back in the starting area. However, if I recall correctly, that alarm clock originally said 3, and now it says 4. And so, hopefully some kind of progress is being made. But let's carry on and see if we can get a little farther this time. We find ourselves in a sort of warehouse-looking area, lots of pallets stacked high. We can carry on, and we find ourselves in a sort of museum kind of area. Reminds me of a museum anyways. We have a calendar on the wall here. Perception is reality. and it has been revealed. It has been revealed a hole in the ground which will allow us to carry on, carry on. Alright, these dice are looking a little strange, a little warped. And in this room, these dice were merely painted. So, anyway, I encourage you, if you're enjoying this at all, to actually check the game out yourself, because it's a lot of fun to go through all this trickery of perspective yourself. So, here we see yet another little trick, as normally these objects can be really taken, but now we find that they are sliding pillars, So, what to do, what to do, what to do, what to do. Drop that one down, slide that one across. could so easily imagine a world where we don't dream, we just go into our recharge state every night. And that is that. But we do dream, of course, and I think it's a much more interesting life on that account. I find it very fun to dream. I enjoy dreams, even nightmares. I do tend to enjoy nightmares just as an experience. There's been the type of dream that is a little too intense for me is, I don't know if you've ever experienced one like this, but it will just be the total obliteration of important relationships to you. So I've had dreams like this about, parents, siblings, close friends, and so on. It will just be a dream where you absolutely tear each other's throats out emotionally, and you're like, this relationship is completely and utterly destroyed forever. I don't have those very often, but whenever I do, I find them very unpleasant. And then, alongside that, I've had one or two dreams that are so horrifying to me that they actually disturb me, for a long time afterwards. Most recently, I had, and of course I won't get into the details, but I had a dream, a body horror dream. Something horrifying was happening to my body. And when I woke up, I was actually sick the whole day. Not physically sick, but sick to my stomach because of the visuals of the dream. And it still kind of haunts me occasionally whenever I think of it. It just makes me a bit sick inside thinking of it. because in my waking hours, it's not like I have some incredible dream of flying or whatever, but for some reason in the dream world, that's where my mind immediately went every time. But yeah, maybe I should try to get into that again. Not because I really care about lucid dreaming per se, but just because I don't dream as often as I used to. And I do kind of miss it. I feel like I dream, I don't know, 1 in 5 nights or so, maybe 1 in 10. And of course it's that thing as well where, you know, maybe you remember your dream right when you wake up, but then 2 hours later you've completely forgotten it. Isn't that kind of an interesting phenomenon? I'm sure you've experienced that, or maybe you haven't. I don't know how common this is, but you wake up and your dream that you just had is very vivid. You can recollect all of these details about it. You can see the movie in your mind, you know, these full visual memories. But then, you know, if you asked me that evening, hey, what did you dream about last night? I wouldn't be able to tell you. Those dream memories just fade away. They're very slippy, which is kind of interesting because, you know, it's like I can remember very easily what I did this morning. I have, you know, visual memories of it and so on. But then the dream memories, which I had so strongly upon waking up, they're just lost. Yeah, I've always just found that interesting how dream memories don't stick around. And, you know, you don't have like physical sensations and stuff to go along with them. I understand why they would be less clingy, as it were. But for them to be so easily lost, I just find interesting. So I'm just, I don't know, there's no need to do this, but just creating a ton of these doors here, which initially come down in a row of dominoes, but this is introducing a new mechanic here, which is that these objects cannot be interacted with directly, picked up, moved around, but by clicking on them you can summon a new iteration of it wherever you are clicking, which will be used in a variety of puzzles coming up. Now, of course, not all dreams are forgotten, right? I mean, there's plenty of dreams I had as a kid that I still remember dream, if you keep a dream journal, if you think about the dream repeatedly, as you're kind of waking up, or, going about your day, that memory will become more and more locked in, and then you can remember it for a very long time. I think that's all I need to do. I don't really need to try to get back into lucid dreaming, but I need to keep a dream journal, and then that will help help me remember my dreams better. Because of course that's what they say, right? They say you do dream every night. You just don't always remember them. Which I assume is true. I have no way of really knowing if it's true or not. But that's what they say. So now we have a big red apple and a giant fan. Oh, just I think thinking about sleep and seeing a big fan and stuff, it just reminded me how I used to sleep with a fan all the time when I was a kid. Which I know is a relatively common thing, right? Of course, my dad would never turn the air conditioning on, and so it would be very, very hot in the summers, those summer nights. Have the windows open, and it would be just humid and hot as hell. And then you'd have the big fan going, big standing fan, and it would just be rattling, and you had that little setting where it would turn itself back and forth. I wonder if I got a big, one of those big old fans now, and put it by my bed at night, if I would suddenly have just like the deepest, most refreshing sleep I've had in years, because it would, remind me of, it would put me back in childhood. Phil's friendly family produce. And of course, all of these loading screens have been doing funny little things. Each one has been unique. Here we find ourselves back in our sleeping suite. However, this time we are on the other there's a fun element here. I have a tiny little house there, and of course we can walk on in here. Just taking a look around, seeing if there's anything else to see. Oh, nothing. I was hoping we could use one of those sodas as a tool there. So, having walked through the interior of the house, you can see that it forms kind of a U shape. And I thought you would just have to make the house bigger to go through that little door. I'm not quite sure what's going wrong here. I think there might be some trigger I'm not hitting. Maybe I needed to make the house smaller from this angle so that the change in size could be more severe. This is kind of funny though, making it this big. You feel like a little mouse walking around the hall. Make it as small as possible. have to, their sizes are going to change, or your size is going to change relative to the size difference of the doors. So just making the doors large is not going to create the necessary size difference or change in size. But we can resolve that here easy enough. Resize this and then boom. Now we just need to make it tiny so that we can put it in there. Make this one big so we can walk back through. And here we go. Here we go. So we come out here and find ourselves overlooking a chessboard. Go grab this door. Make it a bit bigger. And that didn't make me as big as I thought it would. We have, oops, I fell. Might have been a mistake. I had a little fall. Damn, that thing is huge now. What is in this house? There is our exit elevator. Our exit elevator. Now, the smart thing to do here, if we were trying to progress, would be to leave the house and size it downward so that we are relatively larger compared to this hallway so that we can cover the distance more easily. However, I think that this is a good time for the video to wrap up. So I figure, why not just spend the video walking leisurely down towards the elevator. Walking